Okay, so our question today for Q&A with Mom is how do you lesson plan? And I know that you lesson plan differently than I do. So it'll be interesting to get your perspective versus kind of the way that I do it. So why don't you go ahead and share how did you lesson plan when we were kids?
Wow, that's a real loaded question, isn't it? I think mainly I would have fun with it in the summer. Every summer, I just like really dove into getting an outline for each one of you children.
Hmm.
And I'd have basically five subjects. I mean, we always did something athletic, we always did something musical, but I didn't really lesson plan those things. The things I lesson planned was the math, the science, the English, the history, and Bible. And so I get an overview, which wasn't always the same, but I got one from World Book Encyclopedia. I think I kind of modified that, and you may have that. If not, I could write that up again because it really helped me. But basically, it gave me an overview of what each student should cover in each grade. And I kind of had, especially for science and history, I had a 4 year rotating plan. So
Right.
you have ancient history, more modern history, and then American history, and then American government. When you guys were younger, I think I did geography 1 year, but I would every 4 years rotate that. And so when you're younger, you learn a lot of facts.
Hmm.
And in the middle 4 years, I would focus teaching you guys research skills.
Hmm.
And in the high school years, I try to find you guys projects where you could show what you learned. And so in high school, remember how we did the youth court?
Hmm.
That was just a fantastic way for you guys to go in, and you guys were actually the
Hmm.
attorneys and different parts of that whole courtroom scene. And I just thought that was fantastic. You want to share some of that, or is that's probably a whole different
Um,
subject?
yeah, no, that was interesting. We had a lot of different activities outside the home. And for that one, we would go down to like the city courthouse, and they were actual juvenile offenders. It was probably like their first time or something, and it was basically like a kind of like a court, but it was for um, what do you call those, like they have to like write an apology letter, or they would have to like serve um,
Do community service.
community service hours and that sort of thing. So we would be like a jury, but those were the types of like sentences. They were like you know um, kind of went along with the crime that was rather small. I guess it wasn't anything like a super serious crime. It was something that was maybe a first offense or something. But yeah, but then we'd have like the prosecution and the defense and everything. Anyway, um, doing things like that in the community was helpful for us, I think, to kind of, for one thing, get out there. I mean, I know they talk a lot about how homeschoolers aren't socialized and everything like that. So that was just one thing of, several different kinds of things that we would do to just be out in the community and, serving the community. I think that's important to be like a good member of society who helps and all that. So that was
Yeah.
helpful for us, and that was, kind of part of our education.
Yeah. Yeah, and basically what I would do is I would look around for the best resource I had for each subject, basically divide it into 36 sections if the table of contents didn't do that for me,
Hmm.
and then have that definitely fleshed out before going into the year. And I would even break that down or have a system to break that down into
Hmm.
4 days because I tried to homeschool you guys Monday through Thursday, then have Friday free for
Right.
errands and chores and a
Yeah.
makeup day if we needed it. It was a way to kind of put grace in there so I could enjoy having that extra day if we needed it for whatever reason. So that's kind of a general overview. Are there
Right.
any things maybe I
Yeah.
should cover that you're seeing?
No, I just wanted to point out that I think like you and I kind of do things differently because you kind of took individual books or individual resources and curriculum, and decided how you were going to make it work through the years. Well, the way that I do it now is it's basically the same thing, but it's already done for me, because I'm using the Christian Cottage School curriculum, which is all that. It's the science and the history and the geography, and it does break it up between the primary, elementary, and like advanced students, and the different things that they can do. And it does loop it 4 years between those different time periods. And so, and it's got geography in there, and then they're writing, they're doing plays. And so for me, it's just like kind of already done. You were very good at writing that out and creating that yourself for
Mhm.
each of us. And so that was a very good framework. But basically, what I'm doing is just somebody already did that, and I'm just using what they already have. And I think
Yeah,
that
and I
you
think
can
that's
even do your own.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. Generally speaking, the more you have done for you, the
Hmm.
more you might have to pay. But I
Right.
remember getting some
Yeah.
of them that were so well written up, but then you had a workbook, a work text, a
Yeah.
textbook,
Yeah.
and then, audio, and it was
Yeah.
overwhelming.
Right.
So after you use somebody else's,
Hmm.
you kind of develop a confidence, and
Yeah.
then you can say,
Yeah.
okay, I don't need that. I
Right.
want to focus on this. And I think you and I have already discussed this, how valuable it is to minimize what you're doing so you're not stressed out, so you can focus on what you're doing well. And I would just like moms to know, you know your child the best, and you really can make good decisions to determine what your child needs. And I always sought real experiences for y'all. And I think we did this after you had gone, because I found out about it after you had already been married. But I found an oceanographic center that
Yeah.
needed volunteers. And so for one whole semester, every Friday afternoon, that's when I had a non-traditional private school in the home. So I take my 6 students, and they trained them in every single position that they had for volunteers. And we did that for a whole semester. And so that was their high school. What do you have to have? What do you call it? A lab. That
Yeah.
was their lab. Now, what I did in summer for you for lab one time is I sent you over to Arcadia.
Yeah.
What was that? It was
Yeah. Science camp.
yeah,
Yeah.
life science.
Where
So
we
you
like
did all this
dissected all.
dissection.
Yeah. We did all that. Oh my gosh. And they waited until it was super late at night. It's like at the end of like a long day. We were all exhausted and slap happy by that time, and then we have to dissect a frog, and it didn't seem that bad because we were so tired. It was like the last day or something, and we were so tired that it was just like, okay, here we go. So
Yeah.
I do remember that. That was funny. Yeah.
That's neat. And I think those are the kind of experiences that maybe as a mom I couldn't have provided for y'all, but
Right.
they did just a
That's
fantastic.
that's a really important reminder that just because you're the primary education overseer, you don't have to be the one teaching everything. And I've had people say that to me before, like, "Oh, well, how can you be an expert in every area?" or something like. Well, you
Yeah.
don't have to be. You're just seeking out experts, and really, you're just in charge of the child's education and exposing them to different things, and you're choosing what they're exposed to rather than allowing somebody else to decide what your children will be exposed to, and at what point in their lives, and all that kind of different stuff. Um, are you there,
It's
Mom?
neat.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
can you
good.
hear
Your
me?
video froze.
Yeah, I know yours did too.
Oh,
And I think it's important to emphasize that in the younger years, it really is more structured, and you really are pouring more into them. And then I said, like in the middle school, you're teaching them research skills. But in high school, I loved how each one of you began showing what your gifts and talents are, probably around 12 or 13. And I don't think it's an accident that that's in the Hebrew culture when they did the bar mitzvah and the bat mitzvah.
mm-hmm.
And so I'd really look for ways that each of you are gifted, and how I could either apprentice you under somebody, or find a mentor, or find a program or something to
Yeah,
develop what your interests were. That was a lot of fun.
absolutely. Well, this was super fun. and hopefully it recorded this time. Thank you so much for watching. If this did record and I'm able to upload it, if you'd like to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions for my mom, leave them, or myself, leave them in the comments below, and we would like to do another one of these interviews in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
God bless.